Continuing, friends. Well, I was hoping to not have to put another tape in, but I just feel compelled to continue here. I got cut off in the middle of a sentence, but yeah, you understand why I bring this point up because it harkens back to the way I feel about having this peer pressure, this vaccine just shoved down everybody's throat, and mine too. Like I am some kind of evil person. Like I'm some kind of unscientific fool, idiot, for not getting a vaccination. And I'm up against some people I love and respect very much, including my two daughters, whom are in their 30s, okay, who decided to get vaccinated, knowing where I stood, okay? And it's like, you know what? What motivates people, I don't know. I can't perform an operation of the mind on everybody. That includes my own children. I don't own them. At the end of the day, okay, you raise your children as best you can, but ultimately God owns our children and loves and knows them and understands them vastly more, infinitely more than we can ever. So I'm not judging anybody here that's gotten vaccinated. Believe you me. I just hope there's no latent harmful effects, because you hear all kinds of conspiracy theory rumor crap out there. Oh, your brain's going to turn to mush. I don't believe that crap, and I hope it's not true. But one thing I do know, and I'm very skeptical, and that's why I'm cynical, justifiably so, when I say there's a lot of profit to be made on this thing. And I don't want all the news media, you understand, listen, the news ought to be run by the government. Okay, who is the only legitimate government? It's you and me. We, the people. Do you understand? Not we selectively, some of the people, while excluding others. No, it's we, the people, as a whole. We control the mainstream media, what is reported and what is not. And we catch them in their lies through omission. Oh, like I just saw a piece on CBS Sunday Morning. And they went on and on about how labor, we can't be people that do these jobs and they're lazy, and it's all these stimulus packages they've been getting, and now all these businesses can't get minimum wage workers and they're having to pay more, and this is going to drive inflation. But you see, they don't have the conversation. They're not talking about the fact that this is not a question of what came first, the chicken or the egg. We know what came first. The justification for a COLA, a cost of living adjustment, is the fact that your cost of living went up or down. See, it's an adjustment, so it could go up or down. If your cost of living went down and houses don't sell for $50,000, they're selling for $25,000, you could cut your minimum wage in half. It has the same commensurate purchasing power, buying power, does it not? Employers would love that. Masters, bosses, they'd love that, wouldn't they? You understand? So this is a two-way street. The conversation is what needs to be had, and the mainstream media isn't doing it. I don't know if they're stupid, incompetent, idiots, fools, or just evil. Inadvertently, remember, a lot of people are evil and they don't even know it. You understand the problem here? Delusion? You've got to turn to God. God, if I'm evil, if I'm deluded in some way, if I've been deceived, if I believed a lie about this reality that's been shoved down my throat from birth, then please, God, reveal it to me and tell me what to do about it. How should I think of things? What should my perspective be? My perception. Does it have anything to do with values? It does? Okay. Does it have anything to do with how I think about my fellow man, how I speak of them and how I behave toward them, the golden rule? Yes, it has everything to do with it. But it ticks me off to no end, friends. I tell you what, man. You know, the stuff that they don't talk about really sticks in my craw. They need that that's the discussion. That's the conversation I'm talking about. When I talk about the federal minimum wage, this is a big deal. You've got to understand this is what has allowed America to descend into this crap hole. The socially economic unjust world. And if you don't care about other people's injustice, what makes you think you deserve to one day, when you stand before God on Judgment Day, the day of reckoning that we all face, We're all just mortals passing through here, right? That's science. That's not being morbid or negative. That's the way it is. We all know it. It's logical. A little kid knows about death. Then what makes you think God's going to care about you? You don't care about the least of men. You don't care about his son. You're going to judge them. You're going to rationalize it in your mind, assuage your conscience by saying, well, they're drunks and they're lazy and they're alcoholics and they might be foster children, lesser, worth less human beings, and the riffraff out there, dehumanizing them. What do you think? You deserve the same. Aren't you? You understand what a big deal it is, how we think about the downtrodden, the dispossessed? It's a big deal to God. Is it a big deal to you? It's a big deal to me. I talked about that $50 billion a year we're spending every year to Section 8 housing, making the problem worse. I mean, for God's sake, take it away just because it's making the problem worse. So by automatic default position, the homeless problem will get better in America if you just remove that $50 billion a year. You see how sick it is? You think I'm radical? I don't think I'm radical at all. I'm not saying the answer is just keep raising minimum wage. I'm saying we have the conversation and we point fingers where they belong to be pointed. We look at what groups are colluding together and the motivation, the incentive will be clear. We'll say, well, yeah, people that own real estate, housing, landlords and property management companies and investors, speculators and flippers and the innocent little homeowner and everybody else out there. And then you look at, the finances, because they need loans. And the more they lend out, the more they make because they work on a percentage. So we look at all the groups that potentially are colluding together to jack up your housing costs, and you understand the why and wherefore. That's the motivation why they do it. And that's the conversation I'm talking about. Don't blame the minimum wage worker who's just trying to stay even Steven. That says, hey, there was a reason why we came up with a federal minimum wage so many years ago. Because there, as a matter of fact, are unscrupulous employers. And in their extreme cases, these are the slaver class that would take you by violence and force and steal your productivity, steal your labor, steal your services, and give you squat. But I contend, I proffer up that a slave had it better because a master knew he had to take care of a slave's needs. He had to feed him properly. He had to house him. He had to give him potable water in order that he can remain productive and make that slaver wealthy. What do the homeless get? No soup for you. You're not a criminal. You're not a child molester. You're not a murderer. You're not a carjacker. No soup for you. We're willing as a society, we call ourselves civilized, to spend $100,000 a year to keep one inmate in jail for 1 year here in California. That's fine. Those are criminals. You understand? I mean, and I sound so radical. It's like, God Almighty, you see things from God's point of view. Like I say, the planet is God's, and we're equally beloved. And that sounds radical. That's not radical at all. And I say, well, we should be wealthy from birth. Let's just divvy out our share of the resources while we're passing through. Though we can't take them with us. And then they go to the next generation, gets them, and there's no need for money since it's established we're all very wealthy from birth. What need would there be for money? So you figure it out. You say, well, how would it work? I can't figure it out. Money is such a sophisticated form of bartering. Well, there's a little thing called a lottery. If there's a beautiful houses on the coast, well, why don't we make extra houses so we can all live on the coast if we want? Wherever we, the people, want to live is where we ought to be able to live. And we could change that up at any time we want. That's the reality we could have in short order. When God gets his way, that will be the reality. That will be the state of affairs. That's the place I want to be, friends, where we have prosperity across the board. See, I don't want prosperity for me. I couldn't enjoy it right now because it's selective, it's exclusive, and that's a turnoff, man. You understand? That's why I say I'm a good candidate for poverty, at least currently. I'm a believer in universal prosperity, but I'm opposed staunchly opposed, vehemently opposed to selective prosperity. That's the reality we have, isn't it? Very much. It's an advantage, disadvantage paradigm. Who could deny that? So it really, really, really sucks. And people are okay. Well, you know what? It's okay that Trump's kids and Warren Buffett's kids, they're going to be all unthinkably wealthy, someday. Didn't lift a finger for it, but, they inherited it. And that's right. And we shouldn't even tax that, right? I'm fine with that. All the plebs say to themselves and to others. And, it's the inference just by being silent, speaks volumes about these things. But then I'm radical when I say, well, why can't we all be born rich? It's God's wealth, so we inherit it at birth. What's wrong with that? You understand? That's some radical notion. I'm a pipe-dreaming idealist because I'm an egalitarian, like so many others that came before me. And gets them dead. A lot of times it gets them dead. They are detested. They are hated. The evildoers seethe with hatred toward the righteous. Do you understand what we're up against? Righteous people face day in and day out. It's there. You think I need to ask to find out? You think I need to go to the uppermost echelons of power and find these people and say, why do you hate me so much? Why don't you want the problem fixed? Why do you act like you do? But I know the truth. You don't want them fixed. If the problems are fixed, you'd lose your relevance. It's sick. We're mired in madness to the nth degree, my friends. Up one side, down the other. And we're in trouble. I mean, you look at it through God's point of view. I mean, he's lifting his hand of protection until we repent, until we dry up homelessness in this land. At least do that. Don't expect his hand of protection to return to us. It'll just descend into worse and worse madness. And it's described in these last days that Jesus said it's going to be just like the days of Noah. Every man to himself, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. And by extension, that means they don't love humanity. They're not following the golden rule. And we're trained, you don't have to do that. No, in your business practices, it's cutthroats, man. Step on whatever it takes to get ahead, man, to succeed. That's what's important, man. You don't want to be a loser. You don't want to be a failure by default position, so you got one choice. It's to get on this bandwagon and ride it, man. Keep riding that wave. It doesn't matter how many casualties there are. That's, what do we call that? That's what do they call that? Collateral damage, right? You don't worry about that. That is just going to be a wake of misery in your path, but you succeeded. You're somebody, and the world will vaunt you and extol you. And you get all the accolades because you're somebody. You're rich and you're famous and you live in a big fancy house. You can have whatever you want, and we all ogle you and wish we had what you had and covet you and vaunt you. Ooh, you're great. Keeping up with the Kardashians and their ilk, just to use them as a template, an exemplar, an archetype for that mentality that so many people, and these social media influencers, I'm somebody. It's so sick, man. We're sick. We act like dumb brute beasts, man. Ungodly. We don't pray and we don't ask God to have the right opinions. You're not going to have the right opinion. Therefore, you're going to be living a life of a lie. You're going to be living a life of delusion. You're going to be deluded, confused in Babylon, ignorant, stupid, just the same way the dark masters at the uppermost echelons of power want you. Malleable, pliable, weak, pathetic, disunited, disempowered, dumb, brute beasts. That's what they want. Is that what you are? By complying and conforming and inadvertently, you're evil down to your core and you don't even know it? There's only two lines we could be in. One's going to get you in Hades. And you're stuck down there with the topmost money lovers, bullies out there that were willing to use violence, cut your freaking head off to stay ahead of the game, man, to have that money. They love it way more than you, friend. So you advertently, whoops, I ended up with them. Oh, whoa. You understand how easy it is? It can happen to any one of us. If we don't say, whoa, 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 where am I going from here? Are my values in line with my owner? Unless you made yourself, your parents don't know a damn thing about making you. They just bred, they mated like dogs and cats and monkeys when they made you, friend, and me. That's all they did. What came instinctively, what God put in us was procreation. It was irresistible. Following his command, go forth, be fruitful and multiply, and he made it extremely pleasurable. So yeah, when he tells you to do something, follow his command, it gets done. And he makes it very enjoyable, like following the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. The only law, the only mandate, the only rule with teeth in our entire society